Loni Anderson is 80 years old after all, is ready to tell the truth. For decades, she mostly kept quiet about the hard parts of her life, but in an interview not long ago, she named her claims that the Hollywood star really ruined. Who was it, and why did she do it? Don't take so long to say his name. Come with us as we find the story that hasn't been told about the sadness, fame, and the moment Loni Anderson finally said everything. The story of Loni Anderson's rise to fame was born in St. Paul on August 5, 1945. Minnesota, where she grew up in a good Western house away from the lights and the sound of Hollywood. Her dad, Carl Clayton Andy Anderson, worked as a chemist. Maxine Hazel was a model, and so was her mother. Even though she seemed to have a simple, Loni always dreamed that more than just her small-town life she was interested in from a very young age. She loved movies and performing on stage shows and everything that went with them, telling stories or expressing herself. Loni wasn't just acting when he did that. Still, she saw another pretty face. Certainly stood out, and she was crowned in a nearby beauty pageant. Roseville was named Miss when she was a teenager, which helped boost her confidence and give her hope to look into public life more deeply. Loni stayed close to her roots, but she should never give up on her bigger goals. Went on to go to the University of. She went to school for art in Minnesota. During what she did in college wasn't just about besides schoolwork, she also took part in local putting on plays. These early her performances helped her gain experience and keep getting better at acting. Even then she was set on making it in the entertainment world. She was aware it wouldn't be simple. After Loni finished college, he to try her luck in Hollywood, but a lot of new people are coming to Los Angeles. She knew right away that breaking into it was the movie and TV business. The competition was tougher than expected. Was fierce, and chances for women, mostly people who looked a certain way most of the time, the way came with strings. During the early 1970s, Loni showed up in small TV roles. She had guest spots on well-known shows like Hit a Police Officer on The Bob Newhart Show, and Barnaby Jones played these parts. Usually short and relied a lot on her looks instead of her skills, she was often cast as the attractive secretary, the sexy neighbor, or the interesting bystander, characters that didn't leave much room for depth or growth. Even though these roles stayed the same, they didn't give her the kind of job she had hoped for at that time. Hollywood liked to putting pretty women in boxes, and Loni was always fighting. She did not want to be typecast, she wanted to be thought about, but it was tough to move past the blonde bombshell image that directors of casting had their eyes on her. Still, she didn't give up. Loni working kept coming up and proving that she was more than just pretty. He was smart and worked hard, and being ready to wait for the right role, the one that would really let her. In 1978, Shine finally got that part. When she was chosen to play Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati, is a CBS sitcom. Jennifer was smart, sure of herself, and beautiful receptionist at a struggling radio station where the role was first. I was written like a typical dumb blonde person, but Loni convinced the producers are going to change the character into something much smarter and more. She had wanted to play a woman who was beautiful, calm, and they agreed to run the show quickly. Gained a lot of attention, and Loni a well-known name almost overnight. The show was sharp and funny, but also Jennifer wasn't just subtle and classy. As an extra, she became one of the most memorable parts of the show. People loved how she was she was often the smartest person in the room, even though flanked by a group of silly and sometimes stupid co-workers. Loni's able to keep her glamorous look in check. Being funny and having good timing made her stand out at a time when most TV shows not enough power to the women characters. Jennifer Marlowe was not the same. She charmed his way around the room, and Bonnie helped break a man's confidence. Even though they accept the stereotype, traits that had been used a lot against her even after WKRP in Cincinnati ended in 1982, but Loni stayed a well-known TV personality, but that it would always be her most famous role. What made her career turn around? Given her credibility and attention, she had worked really hard to get from a girl from a small town in Minnesota to one of the most well-known TV faces. Loni, the journey of Anderson was full of trouble, but she dealt with each one with drive and grace. In her early career it wasn't easy, but she had to keep going. There were stereotypes and limited roles. She finally got the part that let her be everything she really was. Next, we meet the man she would marry. Most well-known and dramatic part. The tough guy in Hollywood is Burt Reynolds. Reynolds was born on February 11, 1936. He was born in Lake Michigan and grew up in coast of Florida. His full name was Burton Leon Reynolds Jr. Said that his dad was as a child, Burt was police chief and athletic and very busy. He wasn't. Early years were spent on acting. His first big dream was to play professional football. Burt went to Florida State College on a football. It was on scholarship that he played halfback and was seen as a promising young athlete. A lot of people thought he had what it took to make it to the pros, but during one in the game, he hurt his knee badly. That hurt him would change his whole life. It ended his football career for good, and made him look for something new to think about. While Burt is getting better, began going to school in Palm Beach Junior High School. A teacher saw his skills and pushed him to try. Burt tried it out and liked it. That he was right at home on stage. He then studied acting even more, very seriously, and started to play in small plays when he was young. Some people paid attention to the performances, and in the end, he moved into television. In the 1950s and 1960s, Burt began his career with having small parts in TV shows. As one of his The Show got the most early breaks. Gunsmoke, where he joined the cast in the late 1960s, she played the part of Quint Asper. This part helped him get fans and helped him learn important things about. Besides movies, he was in shows like Hawk and Dan August, and these early parts usually had him play rough and tough. The people who would soon become his brand name. Burt Reynolds became a big star in the 1970s. One of his This was one of the most important movies of all time. Played a man who was strong and brave on a canoe trip through the wilderness. The movie was a bad one. Powerful, and showed that Burt could take on dramatic roles as well as action ones or parts that were funny. Deliverance became a hit, which helped Top come across him. A list of Hollywood directors and producers. After only a few years, Burt took on the part that would make him famous. Bo Bandit Darville in Smokey and the Bandit. The movie did very well at the box office. There was a lot going on and it was funny. Burt's spirit and charm were the main why people liked the movie. He drove fast cars with his famous mustache and smiled through the whole thing. By late, he made it all look easy. In the 1970s and early 1980s, Burt Reynolds was most well-known actors in the world. He was often named the top box A star at work for several years in a row. But it wasn't just how good he looked or the exciting parts. Burt played something special about him. He was tough and masculine, but he didn't taking himself too seriously. He had a fun. People thought he was easy to talk to whether he was in a movie or not, on a talk show or in a magazine picture. He always had a laugh and a smile ready. One time he showed this side of himself. It was clear when he posed naked for magazine Cosmopolitan in 1972. The picture shoot was fun and risky, and it broke norms at the time, and it was in the news. It showed people all over the country that Burt knew how to handle the spotlight, and he wasn't afraid to have fun with his picture, even though many people saw him as it was always a tough guy world. And more emotional side to him. It might be sensitive and reflective in interviews, especially when they talk about love relationships and feel bad about the right amount of strength. And being open made him even more, putting fans ahead of Burt Reynolds. After he met Loni Anderson, his love life was the tabloids had already written about him. A lot of relationships over the years, but it was Dinosaur and Sally, two women who stood out. Field about his relationship with the Dinosaur started in the early 1970s. She was a well-known singer and talk show host, and she aged 20 years more than Burt at the time. Their age difference made a lot of in the public eye, but Burt always spoke out. He told her how great she made him feel. They were loved and respected, and relationship that lasted a few years. She was later called one of the most important people in his life. After in the late 1970s and early 1980s, Burt was being linked to actress Sally Field. This was another famous love story, and Hollywood fans loved seeing them together, mostly because they co-starred in a few movies, such as Smokey the Thief. In the end, Burt said many times that Sally was his love. They had a relationship, but life went on. Last, they were different in how they looked ahead to their futures, and eventually they kept going their separate ways. Burt often talked about these relationships. A desire for a stable family life, shared their desire for children and a long-term partner, but he told them he was scared of getting he was too close emotionally, and he had a history of staying away when things got serious. That inner conflict, you want love but fearing it, followed him for a long time of his life before he met Loni Anderson in the early 1980s. Bert was already a big star, a sign, and a man whom had been through a number of the connections. He was looking for something long-lasting, but he also had a what happened caused a lot of emotional baggage. Next would become one of the most well-known, many of the most dramatic love stories in Hollywood is where it all begins. Getting warmer because Loni and Bert together wasn't dull at all. Loni Anderson and Bert Loni on a date. Reynolds met for the first time in the social scene in Hollywood in the late. Both were well known by the 1970s. While that was going on, Bert was one of there were movie stars in the world, and Loni had become a TV favorite thanks to for her part on WKRP in Cincinnati. They had seen each other in a number of industries. A lot of stars go to parties and award shows. Of the time they were in the same rooms with people dressed to the nines amidst by cameras and used to get people's attention when they met early. They were polite, and Loni, who was friendly, later said she admired Bert's work and thought he was funny. The charming Bert also said that he was interested in Loni and thought she was beautiful, but he also liked her calm demeanor and funny sense. They stayed still for a while. Acquaintances, sometimes chatting at events but not going any further. In 1981, when by then, they had officially started dating. Bert was coming off of a few well-known breakups, and Loni had just gone as she went through her own divorce. They were both single, well-known person looking for something more important when they finally tried to make their relationship work. Sparks flew right away. They hit it off right away, and before a long time ago, they were one of Hollywood's most Loni and I talked about couples when Bert got together right away. For people to see that the relationship made headlines. Almost overnight, they were both very pretty, well-known, and they were at the top of their careers together, made news without even attempting. The press called them Hollywood's right away stars, and people loved seeing them together. Next to each other, their red carpet, their shows were always a hit. Looked beautiful and at ease in front of the cameras, no matter what. Going to movie premieres and charity events or award shows, the flashes of photographers were everywhere with them. Magazines wrote about their relationship, showing a lot of happy pictures of them laughing, holding hands, or going on vacation. They were on the covers of Together, People, TV Guide, and US Weekly. The relationship turned into a dream. It looks like these two stars have found love, and people were interested in the spotlight not because they looked good and well-known, but because of their relationship. They looked so perfect, they seemed to keep each other in check. Bert had Loni was a sure of himself person, but graceful, calm, and beautiful in public. They looked like they really enjoyed each other's. The couple is often interviewed by the company, included compliments on laughter, and it was a time of affectionate moments. People wanted a relationship, but of course, what people saw on the outside was only part of the story behind closed doors. Lou and Bert had a great time together. Friendship full of warmth and lots of fun and challenges. At first they seemed to really connect. The same sense of humor and a strong love for wanting to act and find real and emotional connection. Even after years of heartbreak in the business world, had been through tough relationships in the past, and each of them had their own, still having pain from those early years. It looked like they found something real. Friends of the couple said they felt very close to each other. We spent holidays and trips together and even talked about plans for the family. It felt like a fresh start for both of us. They got a second chance at love, and they'll be happy together for a long time. Was beautiful, exciting, and full of promise that everyone was watching with bated breath. It looked like they would last a while. Like they might, but behind the get known for the parties and photo ops, there were signs of bigger problems ahead. Some issues that would eventually shake they have with each other. At its core, a picture ideal marriage. On April 29, 1988, Burt Reynolds and Loni Anderson tied the knot while not in what became one of the most talked about weddings of 2017. The year the event took place in Burt's Florida home called Valhalla, and it was nothing but lavish. Over 400 guests, including stars, came. The list of guests came from all over Hollywood. Had A-list actors, directors, and friends of the couple for a long time, making it an event with a lot of stars. Loni wore a white